The air in the Emperor's throne room was cold, sterile, and thick with the promise of pain. Before the towering window overlooking the endless constellations of the Imperial core, Darth Vader knelt, a monstrous monument of black durasteel and simmering rage. His mechanical breathing was the room's grim metronome. The Rebel Alliance grows ever more bold, my friend. Emperor Palpatine's voice was a dry rasp, a serpent slithering through the silence. Their destruction of the Death Star was not merely a victory. It was a symbol that the light has not yet been entirely extinguished. Vader's helmet tilted upward. The symbol will be crushed, Master. I will find them. I will obliterate them. Oh, I have no doubt of your fervor, Lord Vader, Palpatine purred, steepling his claw-like fingers. But the Force swirls with uncertainty. The son of Skywalker lives. He represents a complication, a vulnerability. The word vulnerability hung in the air, and Vader felt it like a vibroblade in the seams of his armor. He was the Emperor's fist, his enforcer. He was not supposed to be vulnerable. I will turn him master, or I will destroy him. His power will serve the Empire. Power, yes, Palpatine mused, his yellow eyes gleaming. But power is a fleeting thing when bound to a single fragile vessel. You have suffered greatly, my apprentice. Your body, a prison, your spirit, tested by fire and failure. He paused, letting the insults fester. What if the Empire could have the Chosen One's power without his weaknesses, his emotional failings, his capacity for betrayal? With a wave of his hand, a section of the wall slid away, revealing a hidden transpersteel chamber. Within, suspended in a vat of bubbling amber nutrient fluid, was a body. It was a young man, perhaps in his early 20s, with a strong jaw, tousled blonde hair, and a perfectly sculpted physique. Wires and tubes fed into his limbs and spine. His eyes were closed in serene slumber. Vader's respirator hitched. He knew that face. It was the face he saw in his nightmares, the face from his dreams. It was his own, as he was before Mustafar, before the fire, before the suit. Behold, Palpatine whispered, a note of triumph in his voice. The ultimate insurance policy, codenamed Project Phoenix, cultivated from the genetic material recovered from your old lightsaber hilt, from the medical archives of the Invisible Hand, from 1,000 scattered sources. His cells boast a midi-chlorian count identical to your own. He is Anakin Skywalker, purified, unscarred, unburdened by sentiment. He will be the perfect weapon, and he will be utterly, completely loyal to me. The project was the culmination of a dark science that had begun with the Clone Wars. But where the Jango Fett clones were mass-produced soldiers, this was a singular work of art, a Sith alchemy fused with terrifying technology. The Kaminoans had been purged after their work was done, their knowledge absorbed by the Emperor's own loyalists deep in the unknown regions. Vader stared at his doppelganger, a storm of emotions warring within him. Pride, fury, revulsion, and a deep gnawing jealousy. This clone was everything he was not. Whole, powerful, and pristine. He was a living monument to Vader's own failure. He is an empty vessel, Palpatine continued. His mind is a blank slate, waiting for the foundational programming to be imprinted. He will be taught the ways of the dark side from first principles. He will not have to unlearn the Jedi Code. He will know only the power of the Sith. The clone's training was a perversion of the Jedi way. There was no meditation on the Force as a connective energy. There was only the channeling of pain, anger, and aggression. His teachers were not masters, but interrogator droids and dark side adepts who subjected him to brutal trials. He learned to harness his rage not through philosophy, but through pure, raw experience. He was given the name Kalan, a derivative of an ancient Sith word for vengeance. Palpatine took a personal interest in his creation. He would sit with the young man, his voice a soothing poison. The Jedi betrayed the galaxy, he would croon. They sought to limit your power, to chain you with their dogma of peace. The man you were cloned from, he was their greatest victim. They manipulated him, lied to him, and when he sought true power to save the one he loved, they tried to murder him. They left him broken, a shadow of his potential. You are not that shadow. You are his rebirth. You are the promise he could not keep. Kalen absorbed it all. He knew no other truth. His entire identity was built on a foundation of manufactured grievance and Sith ideology. His power was immense, a mirror of Vader's own, but it was wilder, less disciplined. He lacked Vader's decades of combat experience, but he made up for it with a feral, untamed fury. Vader watched the clones' progress with a growing sense of dread. He saw Palpatine crafting the perfect apprentice, one without his own emotional baggage, without the ghost of Padme Amidala haunting him, without the capacity for the love that had once been both his strength and his undoing. The Emperor's plan was put into action when a high-value rebel cell was discovered on the remote planet of Cato Neimoidia. Instead of sending Vader, he sent Kalen. "Let him be blooded," the Emperor decreed. Clad in sleek black armor that echoed Vader's but was less bulky, allowing for greater acrobatic mobility, Kalen descended upon the rebel base. His lightsaber, a blade of crackling, unstable crimson energy, was a whirlwind of destruction. He moved with Anakin's raw speed and power, but without the practiced elegance of Soresu or Jem So. It was pure, aggressive Juyo, the most vicious form of lightsaber combat. He slaughtered the rebel soldiers, his face a mask of cold concentration. There was no anger, no hatred in his eyes, only a chilling emptiness. He was simply completing a task. When he confronted the cell's leader, a former Jedi Padawan who had survived Order 66, the fight was short. Kalen overpowered the Jedi's defense with sheer overwhelming power and ran him through without a word. He returned to the Imperial flagship orbiting the planet, his mission a success. As he marched through the corridors, Imperial officers and stormtroopers recoiled from him. He radiated a cold, predatory aura that was even more terrifying than Vader's controlled rage. In the observation lounge, Vader awaited him. "The task is complete, Lord Vader," Kalen stated, his voice a hollow echo of the man Vader once was. There was no accent, no emotion. It was flat, synthesized to sound neutral. Vader ignited his own lightsaber. "Your form is sloppy. Your reliance on power is a crutch. A skilled opponent would have exploited your openings. It was a challenge." Kalen didn't hesitate. His own blade snapped to life. The duel that followed was not like Vader's duel with Luke on Cloud City. This was a brutal, hateful clash. Vader, a master of Form V, used his strength and experience to batter the clones' defenses. Kalen was faster, his movements a blur, but he was predictable. He fought like a feral animal, all attack and no defense. Vader, inside his suit, was screaming. Every parry, every block was against his own youthful potential, against the ghost of the man he could have been. He saw Anakin Skywalker in every move, but it was Anakin without his heart, without his soul. It was a mockery. With a mighty blow, Vader disarmed the clone, sending his lightsaber skittering across the floor. He held the tip of his blade at Kalen's throat. "You have power," Vader's respirator cycled, "but you lack control. You lack discipline. You are a weapon, and like all weapons, you can be broken." Kalen looked up at him, no fear in his eyes, only a cold analysis. "The Emperor did not create me to be disciplined. He created me to be victorious." The word struck Vader harder than any physical blow. He saw the truth. Palpatine hadn't just built a new apprentice. He had built Vader's replacement, a better, more obedient model. From that moment on, a silent, deadly Cold War existed within the highest echelons of the Empire. Vader and Kalen were set against each other on missions, each trying to outdo the other, each proving their worth to the Emperor, who watched the competition with gleeful malice. It was the rule of two, perfected through forced Darwinism. The climax came during the Battle of Endor. As the rebel fleet engaged the Imperial Navy, Palpatine made his move. He had his perfect loyal weapon, Kalen, by his side on the Death Star 2. Vader was relegated to a command ship, overseeing the fleet, a clear sign of his diminished status. But the Emperor's plan unraveled. Luke Skywalker surrendered, and the trap was sprung. As the Emperor tortured Luke with Sith lightning, he turned to Kalen. "See, my boy? See the weakness of the Jedi? Of the Son. Now, you will execute him. Prove your loyalty. Claim your destiny." Kalen stepped forward, his crimson blade igniting. He looked at Luke, who was writhing on the floor, and felt nothing. He was following his programming. It was the nothingness that finally broke something open inside Vader. He saw this hollow copy of himself, this thing that felt no conflict, no love, no pain, about to murder his son. He saw the ultimate end of Palpatine's philosophy, not power, but absolute meaningless emptiness. With a roar that was both mechanical and born of a long-suppressed father's love, Darth Vader seized the Emperor from behind. Kalen reacted instantly, his programming demanding he protect his master. He lunged at Vader, his lightsaber aimed for the life support system on Vader's chest. The scene became a horrific tableau, Vader holding the screaming Emperor, absorbing the full fury of the Sith lightning meant for Luke, while simultaneously trying to fend off the relentless attack of his own clone. He couldn't fight both. He was being torn apart. It was Luke who moved. Igniting his green lightsaber, he parried Kalen's killing blow. "Naitun, father!" he screamed. The sound of that word, shouted with such raw emotion, caused a flicker in Kalen's programmed mind. He hesitated for a microsecond, his blank eyes looking from the son to the father. It was all the opening Vader needed. With his last ounce of strength, he hurled the Emperor down the reactor shaft. The explosion of dark side energy was immense. It rocked the throne room, throwing everyone to the floor. Kalen scrambled to his feet, his master's death sending his primary programming into chaos. His purpose was gone. He looked at Vader, who was dying, his suit shattered, and then at Luke, who was cradling his father. A strange, foreign emotion stirred within Kalen for the first time. Not rage, not hatred, it was confusion and loss. He had been created for a single purpose, and that purpose had just vanished into the void. He deactivated his lightsaber, he looked at his hands, the hands of Anakin Skywalker, and for the first time, he didn't see a weapon. He saw hands. Without a word, he turned and fled the throne room, disappearing into the chaos of the exploding battle station. He escaped the Death Star 2 before its destruction, piloting an abandoned TIE fighter away from the celebrating rebel fleet. Emperor Palpatine was dead. Darth Vader was dead. The Empire was crumbling. Kalen was alone, an heir to a dark throne that no longer existed, a clone with the face of a hero and the soul of a weapon, now without a war to fight. His entire identity, a lie crafted by a dead Sith Lord, had evaporated. He was a ghost, a perfect copy with no original left to mimic, adrift in a galaxy that had just been born anew, forever haunted by the question he had never been programmed to ask: who am I?